grown folk out there, won't you gather around? Take a real good listen to Miss B-Town. She'll give you the real deal while showing you love. She was sent from heaven above, so check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you all the news that you can use and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you everything you want and more. Keep growing, keep showing. Those who are lost and have gone astray, keep blessing with life lessons. Show them the way, so check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you all the news that you can use and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you everything you want and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house. All the news that you can use and more. So check it out. Miss B-Town Hester's in the house, giving you everything you want and more. So check it out.
All right. Hey, good morning. How's it going, everybody? Hold on, put my do not disturb on. That was the key right there. Um, Today we're gonna be talking about this Maryland cop who actually took the life of his 15-year-old stepson. Um, some things I'm a little confused about too. So what we'll do is we'll all just learn as we go. Kills his, and he's only 15, and he put him in the wall after he killed him. Come on now. Let's see. Yeah. I thought I had it. Yeah. Yeah, I won't be up here long. I just right now don't have the strength to do the long live. Okay. Now this young man here in front of you, this is Deshaun Jones. He's 15. Okay. But I'm gonna take him down for a minute. I'm gonna put your father up there or stepdad. Okay. Baltimore police officers charged with the murder and the death of 15-year-old stepson. A Burleson, a Baltimore police officer has been charged with first-degree murder in the death of his 15-year-old stepson, whose body was found hidden in the family Anne Arundel County home last week. In documents charging Eric Banks Jr., 34, police police wrote that Deshaun Jones' death was ruled a homicide by asphyxiation, with the injuries also noted on his neck, face, and mouth. They also said they found wet clothing that smelled of bleach and was stained with what police believe to be blood. Banks has been in custody since after the county police said Banks tried to disarm an officer after he discovered after the discovery of Deshaun's body. When police detained him, Banks asked to say his goodbye to his other children and reached for an officer's gun, saying the officer was going to have to end this. Prosecutor says Banks made homicidal and suicidal comments following his arrest. Banks' attorney, Warren Brown, told the Sun that the Banks asserted that he found Deshaun dead in a bathtub and that he believed the boy had committed suicide. I understand circumstantially it looks bad, but I'm looking to understand how he was asphyxiated, Sean said Wednesday. Banks' wife, Deshaun's mother, had applied for two protective orders against Banks in 2 weeks. See, this is why I understand why she allowed her son, which is not the son of his, to go visit with him, and she's already has papers out against them. Anne Arundel County Police Chief Amal Award called the case absolutely heartbreaking, traumatic, and terrifying. She passed the walk. She passed the word along to Banks' family and friends that the death of Officer they could not accept any questions. They were given and walked away. They did not. They kept asking questions. And an arrest warrant charging Banks with his first and second degree murder, as well as the child abuse resulting in death, was issued Tuesday. They described the case as being very active. Banks has served as a Baltimore police officer for about 3 years prior to what he spent 11 years in the Marines, spending his final years as a recruiter after the three overseas deployments. Okay, we already see where they're gonna go with this. We getting ready to go right the mental issue route. See, a memorial was held Monday in Glen Burnie for Deshaun, who had just completed his freshman year and was described as well liked and quiet. He played the violin. He was an avid gamer and enrolled in a nursing magnet program at Glen Burnie High School. According to an obituary, he wanted to attend college and become a general surgeon. Wow, this baby had big dreams to be cut short. Hey, Anthony, by his stepfather. In May, Banks filed a protective order that from his wife, accusing her of threatening him and making false complaints about him. He withdrew that petition 2 days after filing it. His wife then filed for a protective order in late June, saying he was stalking her, which a judge denied. She filed another protective order on the afternoon of July 6th, just hours before Deshaun was found dead. In that order, she said that Banks had taken Deshaun's phone and was texting her from it, including saying that he had observed her outside of the hotel living in the hotel, but yet she's letting her 15-year-old son still stay there with her husband, her estranged husband, even though he was violent to her. I don't get that. After her son failed to meet with a reasonable amount of time, Miss Banks called the police, believing something was out of the ordinary. Police wrote in the charging department documents. Officers arrived at 5 p.m. and Banks told them the body had just run from the back door. The boy just ran from the back door. Officers reached for the area and could not find him and returned to home when police say Banks consented to a search. Officers found Deshawn's body in a small storage area in an upstairs wall where Banks said a gun safe was kept. It was covered up. Both Deshawn's and Banks' clothing were wet, police said. In the new charging documents, police wrote that Banks said, "My life is over," and begged an officer detaining him to choke him before going for the officer's handgun. Award, the county chief, said she viewed body camera footage from the scene and praised her officers diligently in trying to locate Deshawn, as well as their restraint from Banks went for officer's gun. She visited the scene the night of the incident and she said officers were shaken up. Banks agreed to speak with detectives after being taken into custody and said he found Deshawn's body and carried him to the loft after and hid it. You found the body and hid it. If you didn't have anything to do with it, why did you hide it? This is Banks now. Listen to this. At the time of the discovery, the reason for the suspension has not been released. The alleged actions of Officer Banks, are not only deplorable but shocking to the to the con- to the conscious Baltimore Police Department. Michael Harrison said in a statement, "Our department will continue to work closely with Arundel County Police Department during this ongoing investigation." Behind the protective orders filed in the court, the county police said there had been no prior police calls to that home. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Anthony. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hey, Miss Beach. I'm glad to hear your voice. Good. Good morning. Yes, this is in my neck of the woods. Oh, really? So you heard of the story? Well, I think the part that baffled me the most was, well, Mom, if you had a restraining order taken out on you, why are you allowing him to see your child? Because he's just the stepfather. He's not the father. So my first thought would have been, if this man do anything to me, um, if he can't get to me, what will he do to my child? That would have been my biggest concern. That would have, because that's usually how it go. They get you at your core. If one thing don't work, they go on to something new. You know, like they get you next best person. Oh, it's pronounced Anne Arundel. Oh, okay. Is how it's pronounced. Okay. Anne Arundel. And I was trying to find a very, very small clip, maybe, that y'all can hear. I could see it being a case of 15-year-old maybe getting in his way, mom's having to spend too much time with him, time that he won't spend with him. Selfish. Let's see, I'm trying to get a news article here.
Get up to date with the news and weather happening throughout the day. Good evening, everyone. We start with breaking news out of Baltimore City with Stan Stovall, Deborah Wiener, and Chief Meteorologist Tom Castlemeyer. Weeknights at 6 and 11 on 11 News.
Tim Mulcahy, Director of External Affairs for the Anne Arundel County Police Department.
No.
This morning is Chief Amal Mawad. That's AMALAWAD, and Lieutenant Richard Albin from our Criminal Investigation Division. We provide an update on the Dasan Gym.
So it's Deshaun. Okay, that's what I said though. I think I did pronounce that right.
Suspicious death investigation in Curtis Bay. On Tuesday, July 6th at about 4:42 p.m., officers responded to the 1400 block of Stony Point Way in Curtis Bay for a child custody dispute. A mother was in the area to pick up her teenage son who had been with the stepfather. Initially, officers were told by the stepfather that the 15-year-old teenager, identified as Dasan James Edward Jones, affectionately known as DJ in the community, that he had left the residence and left his belongings behind. Officers checked the residence. They discovered the teenager was unresponsive, locating him in an upstairs attic crawl space. Officers immediately began rendering aid until relieved by fire department personnel. The stepfather, identified as Eric Lynn Banks Jr., 34 years old, from the 1400 block of Stony Point Way in Curtis Bay, was secured at that time. The Baltimore police officers well. Once secured, Mr. Banks became combative, tried to disarm an officer. A Signal 13 was initiated, where several officers responded to the scene and took Mr. Banks into custody. Now, during this altercation with police, Mr. Banks said, and I quote, "My life is over," and choke me, choke me, choke me. An arrest warrant was obtained charging Eric Banks with first and second degree assault, reckless endangerment, disarming a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, and failing to obey a lawful order. At that time, this was in regards to that Signal 13 that was called. As I mentioned, he's a member of the Baltimore Police Department. Homicide and evidence collection personnel arrived on scene. Several search warrants were executed as multiple items of evidence were collected. Apparent bloody clothing
Come on.
was located, which had been concealed in a dresser drawer. Several witnesses were located and interviewed in regards to this incident. Over the past week, detectives conducted more interviews in regards to the death, as well as conducted forensic examinations of evidence recovered from that residence. On Tuesday, July 13th, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner ruled Desan Jones, DJ's cause of death as asphyxiation, with the manner being homicide. Homicide detectives worked in conjunction with the State's Attorney's Office obtained an arrest warrant charging Eric Banks with the following: first and second degree murder, as well as first degree child abuse resulting in death in regards to the homicide of DJ. The suspect, Eric Banks, is currently incarcerated at the Anne Arundel County Detention Center on a no bond status in regards to his original charges of assault on police. During the evening of Tuesday, July 13th, members of the Anne Arundel County Sheriff's Office served the homicide arrest warrant on Mr. Banks. Now, just to be clear, even though an arrest has been made, this is a very active case as we stand before you today. Urging anyone with information to come forward by contacting our homicide unit at 410-222-4731. Again, that's 410-222-4731. If people with information wish to remain anonymous, they can do so. There's a tip line you can call at 410-222-4700, or another avenue is Metro Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. So again, that's the update that we have at this time. I just want to say there's not too many specifics we're going to be able to get into, as this is very active and ongoing in terms of questions around motive and things of that nature that I'm sure folks have. At this time, though, I would like to turn it over to Chief Alwood, who wants to speak to what she can too. She has a message for the community and the family, and also she'll mention some other details to the extent that she can. Chief.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Miss Candy. Welcome in.
This is absolutely a heartbreaking, traumatic, and horrific case. We continue to lift DJ, and I ask that the community does the same. His family in prayer, as our hearts ache for his grieving mother and his younger siblings. Our hearts also go out to all who loved him, his Glen Burnie High School family, and his neighbors who loved him dearly, and the community at large. This was a young man with a bright future, yet his life, as his life was intended to live, was tragically taken. DJ had just completed his freshman year
Yes,
in the
it is,
biomedical
Miss
allied
Candy.
health program at Glen Burnie High School. He took great pride and excelled in his academics. He was a magnet student and was an accomplished violinist. And quite frankly, I can't think of any more beautiful an instrument to play than the violin. That speaks volumes to this young man's commitment and character. His friends have also spoken to his character as someone who would not hesitate to help others. He had a contagious smile and a very keen sense of humor. He was able to light up a room. Our crisis intervention team responded to the scene that evening. They provided assistance and support not only to their family, which was their first priority, but also to the community members, his neighbors, who were struggling with and processing what had just occurred with very little information. And then our officers, who experienced their own level of trauma in rendering first aid. I personally went to the scene that evening, and I could not be more proud of our officers and their response, their tenacity, and exercising their due diligence in investigating this case. At any moment, they could have accepted an answer that they were given and walked away, and they did not. They kept asking questions. I can tell you there's body-worn camera footage of this incident that's part of the investigation. It's not something we'll be releasing. I can tell you what I saw briefly. It simply highlights the incredible work of our responding officers. These officers canvassed the area looking for DJ. They could tell something was awry, was amiss. Things just weren't adding up after speaking with the suspect, DJ's stepfather. And they were initially told by Mr. Banks that DJ left the residence without his belongings. But their persistence in canvassing the neighborhood ultimately led to a consent search, which led them to locate DJ in the home in an upstairs access panel to get to the to get access to the attic. In the video, I can hear one of our officers calling out DJ, DJ. Mr. Banks was immediately taken into custody, only to become combative, extremely combative, and he attempted to disarm one of our officers. It took several officers to intervene to get Mr. Banks into custody.
Yes, Miss Candy, it is.
Again, please note that this case
killed
is
them
very
because,
active. So there are things that
we can only speculate,
can't
but
speak to at this time.
the mother
Personally, I'd like
was
to
in the
thank
process
again
of
our
leaving him.
officers and our detectives who worked around
She had
the clock.
papers taken out on
In this
him,
case, our evidence technicians
and
processed the scene.
I don't know if he felt like this is
And
my
I'd
way
like
to
to
get back
extend
at
a
you,
special
or
thanks to the Office of the State's
maybe
Attorney
if I
and the
get the
Office of
son
the
out of the
Chief
way,
Medical
she'll
Examiner's
have
Office in
more time for
Baltimore
me.
for their
Who
coordination,
knows?
cooperation, and lastly, the leadership for the Baltimore City Police Department. Again, I ask that we continue to
This is a
uplift
real-time
DJ's
ongoing
mom. She's a grieving mother.
in Maryland.
This is devastating for both she and her two young children. Today, we also have joining us Lieutenant Rich Albin, who's the commander of our major crimes unit.
Okay. I'll stop it right there. I don't play that stuff too long. But yeah, the only speculations that we have, the mother had papers taken out on her husband. She wanted, from being abusive, she wanted him out of the house. So that happened, but then she allowed her son to go there to spend the night, and the baby never came back. Never came back. And when they found him, it was a hole in the wall covered by a sheet. And when they stuck their hand in there, that's where they found him. And they said he had a very promising future. He was an athlete. He looks to me like he was a young kid, a good kid. He looks to be of a good kid. He really does. I hate to see this happen to anybody's child. Yes, but this happens more often than usual, and a lot of the more police is ghetto as hell. And they're on drugs as hell. And and they trying to use this thing about he went to Afghanistan. So what? My brother went 4 times. My daddy fought in Nam. I mean, they ain't come home killing nobody. If you feel like you're gonna need therapy, then you get therapy. That's simple. But I don't think that he had against that 15-year-old. If it was no more than time being spent with his mother that he wanted to be spent with him. I mean, he could have waited. I mean, the boy's 15. He's an athlete. He won't be around y'all too much more. Let's see what you guys are saying. Shaking my head, God is returning soon. The wickedness in the world and is worse than ever. Amen. Amen. Totally agree. Totally agree. That's why I choose to make this a big part of my channel is to bring awareness mainly to young black women and to children and kids. Young black women, you don't have to put up with that, okay? And with kids, I more so a lot of stuff still with kids. I'll take that back to the parent. Because usually parents start letting them date a little bit too early, kind of push them out there a little bit. For comments, I can wrap this up. I don't have the strength yet to do a whole live. So that's all they've come in to my little video today. Now I may be back this evening. If not, I may even do another upload if I get another story. I have some I'm working on, but if someone sends me a new, like, real time story that's not getting a lot of media attention in your area, or you know of one that is not getting a lot of media attention, those are the ones that I like to do. Those are the names that needs to be heard. Those are the faces that needs to be seen. Don't just put them in a drawer somewhere, in a file cabinet somewhere, and just leave them. I wouldn't have sent my child over there, Anthony, if it was the child was by him. My baby wouldn't have went by him or not. My baby would not have went. She should have known better to defend her child. Right. If he's abusive enough, and the thing of it is, it took her 3 tries to even get the order. So that should have been even more reason for her to want to abide by it. First 2 times they denied her. I don't know what some of these women be thinking. Yeah, dude, they don't be. They don't be thinking. They just want to drop a child off and be able to do what you want to, be able to do what they want to do without any interruption. Yep. All right, guys. Thank y'all for coming in. And if I find another good one I can get together for today, I will, and I will be back on later. Thanks, guys. Please hit the thumbs up. Hey, Heaven Sent. And if you would like to contribute to the platform, you can add $sign Miss B Town Esther. And I do have another story that I think I will have ready by this evening. Even if I don't go live with it, I think it will at least be ready to upload, make it an upload. But I like to do them live because I like to discuss them. Because, see, my goal is for us to come up on the stage and discuss it, give it our thoughts. All right. Have I said where you been? I'll be back on tonight. I'm gonna see if I can get a topic that's more likely to be discussed. Maybe I can get one or two to come up here and discuss it with me. All right, guys. Miss B Town Hester on the end with my cash app. All right, guys. I am going to let you guys go. And like I said, I just might be back today. If not, I definitely will be back tomorrow. Because in a few weeks I gotta have a little surgery, so trying to get as much caught up as I can. Um, Anthony, when was the last time you ran my playlist? Anybody willing to run playlists? You run mine, I'll run yours. If y'all bump into anybody, y'all can send them my way. All right, I'm gonna end this live, guys. I'm going to take my meds and lay back down. Thanks a lot for coming in. Because without y'all, there would be no me. Thanks to my mods. You're the best. Y'all have a good day. Try to stay cool. Oh my God. Try to stay cool. Actually, it's Cash App. $ Miss B Town Hester. It's the whole thing on there. I should have just did Miss B Town, but it's the whole thing on there.